Republicans tried to water down the Inflation Reduction Act in a number of different ways and thankfully did not succeed, but there were a few where they did. And getting rid of the insulin price cap is one of the most needlessly petty, cruel things I can imagine them doing. So of course, they did it. They successfully stripped a proposed $35 per month cap on out-of-pocket spending on insulin for patients enrolled in private insurance from the IRA. These are people who have insurance. They're doing everything that they're told they're supposed to do. They're doing the responsible thing. They've managed the whole insane bureaucracy and all of that. They would still be spending money, and yet no, the Republicans want to ensure that they will spend far more, hundreds, potentially 1,000 or more dollars more every month. And they did this, sure, that the American people either won't get that message and won't understand that the 7.5 million people or so who take insulin on a regular basis will get screwed over financially by this, or they believe that they have so got a chokehold on their base that even conservatives who are being bled dry by insulin costs will be like, well, I can't afford this. I'm going broke, but I guess I hate the groomers. So I suppose I'll stay with the people who actively despise me and want me to pay more. But anyway, let's talk about how this exactly happened. Because it wasn't just the Republicans' mind. The Senate parliamentarian, who is the most powerful being in the multiverse at this point, I think it's an upcoming Marvel villain, ruled that the earlier provision for the spending cap was not related to the federal budget. I don't see how that makes any sense. It's literally about a budget cap. But anyway, they tried to do a waiving of the rules that requires 60 votes to put an amendment that reinstituted the cap. 7 Republicans sided with Democrats to keep the insulin cap. Here's the interesting thing. We get to throw to, hey, good job, Bill Cassidy, Susan Collins, Josh Hawley. He was the good guy here. Cindy Hyde-Smith, John Kennedy, Lisa Murkowski, Dan Sullivan. They voted with the Democrats, but there are some interesting names that aren't on that list. And the interestingest part about it is that they love to talk about how much they didn't like that insulin was expensive. So let's start off with a little bit of Joni Ernst.
We've heard the heartbreaking stories of individuals who could not afford their insulin, were forced to ration and skip doses, and as a result, they lost their lives. And Iowans have been very clear with me where they stand on this issue. They want to see us come together to advance solutions that drive down those drug prices.
It is heartbreaking. People have to skip or not take full doses. They die as a result of it. And my constituents have been very clear that they won't accept this. And so given the opportunity to put a cap on the price of this, you'll notice her name was not in the list that we read. Despite the fact that they're already paying for their health insurance, despite the fact that they'd still be paying the $35 a month, that's not enough for Joni Ernst and the vast majority of the Republican Party. You cannot pay enough to satisfy these people because no matter how much you pay, they've been paid by Big Pharma to keep the price of insulin as high as possible. It's not just her. Mitt Romney had tweeted previously about how outrageous the cost was. How could it possibly go up like this? You'll notice that his name wasn't on the list. And isn't he supposed to be one of the reasonable moderate ones? And yet did not vote to institute this price cap. Weird how they're so aggrieved, Francesca, but when they get the opportunity to actually wield the power they have, suddenly maybe $1,000, $1,500 for insulin a month, that's acceptable.
Oh, let's pose with some children. Oh God, that's so real. Like child diabetes. Let's talk about it. Like all this stuff. It's so sick and so bald faced. And I wish, the Lincoln Project is so obsessed with Trump and all the folks who would love to call out Trump as if Trump isn't an aberration, or he's just the mushroom that grew off of the rotten party that is the Republican Party. And you have it right there. And so what I'm saying is I wish that the Lincoln Project and other groups would actually run these ads all throughout Iowa of Joni Ernst saying that BS, and then, oh, let's go to her floor vote. Nope, she didn't do it. The problem is, especially when it comes to healthcare, man, it's Democrats and Republicans that are invested in our bankrupt or our very, very rich private healthcare system, right? And no one's actually looking out for the people. Does this work? Is Big Pharma gouging us, And once again, every senator, every congressperson should be made to buy their healthcare on the marketplace if they think it's so good. I do, and it's not great. And thank God for the subsidy extension, because that's gonna help me directly. But yeah, it's just so brilliant. And that's why you need more Bernies in there.
Yeah.
Because nobody's pointing that out. Nobody points out that hypocrisy except for him.
Yeah, by the way, there's a great picture going around of Bernie like sprawled on the steps of the Capitol, like exhausted from this votorama, like just trying to do the right thing and being despised by so many people who have been convinced that this guy who's fought his whole life for their economic interests is actually the biggest villain.
It's my favorite too, because can you imagine just like being in the Senate for 24 hours, 48 hours sitting there, and like just the amount of BS, and you're like, I need a break, put me in the shade. I don't care if it's 90 degrees in DC, I cannot listen to a single more
100%.
word.
Yeah. By the way, for context, one vial of a particular kind of insulin used to cost $21 in 1999. 3 years ago, it cost $332. That is a price increase of more than $1,000. But what is often left out of that is that the price of the tiny vials it's put in, those cost 1,000% more to make. And the tiny little micro globules of stuff they put in it is way more expensive and rare. Truffle pigs need to root through the deep parts of the Amazon to find it. And I'm making all this up, there's no excuse. They're just price gouging, that's all it is. And they're doing knowing it that the politicians will protect them and allow them to continue price gouging people who are literally desperate because their lives are on the line.
Including Joe Manchin's daughter, helped raise the price of the EpiPen unnecessarily.
Yeah, and knowing they'll be protected.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.